He's the most famous psychologist ever, and he's had a profound influence on the 20th and 21st century. He was, in his time, extremely well known, a celebrity recognized on the street.
Sigmund Freud, the pioneering Austrian neurologist widely regarded as the father of psychoanalysis, forever revolutionized psychology, mental health treatments, the understanding of human behavior, and rights and responsibilities. His groundbreaking work laid out the foundation for modern-day psychoanalysis, playing a pivotal role within the advancement of mental health rights along with personal and societal responsibilities. Although his contributions are primarily recognized within the psychological field, Freud's multifaceted ideas furthered into topics regarding the responsibility of the unconscious mind, ethical standards in psychology, roles of mental health professionals, and even social philosophy. Mind and Matter, the legacy of the father of psychoanalysis. During the 19th century, the worlds of psychology and medicine were much less developed than today. In consideration towards human behavior, mental health, medical treatments, the unconscious mind, etc., these fields were fragmented and held extremely limited understanding. Highly stigmatized views around mental health were commonplace and unavoidable, causing misinformation and inequality among society. They branded mental conditions and illnesses as moral misbehavior and demonic, believing people were mad and required taming. This was because there was a dominant focus on the external behavior of mentally ill people rather than the underlying internal psychological emotions and/or mental struggles within their minds. This would lead to skewed views, opinions, and treatments. Treatments were somatic, unusual, lacking in research, and largely ineffective, with dangerous ones not being uncommon either. Violence was even inflicted onto patients in an attempt to cure them, especially within places like asylums, which were popular at the time. Rights and responsibilities were not handled with care, and any form of mental therapy was essentially non-existent. Sigmund Freud was born on the 6th of May, 1856 in Freiburg, Germany. In 1859, the family left and moved to Leipzig, then to Vienna in 1860, where he would become an outstanding pupil in high school and graduate with honors. When he was 17, he enrolled into the University of Vienna to study medicinal topics including physiology and philosophy. Later, Freud spent 6 years researching neuroscience, with his experiments leading to a number of critical and accurate findings like the near discovery of neurons. He often pursued the unthinkable, highlighting his willingness to attempt bold and unusual solutions if it meant relieving even a sliver of human suffering. As a neurologist, Sigmund Freud was deeply invested in concepts regarding brain anatomy and the nervous system. His findings and research constantly led him back to the topic concerning the role of the human mind in illnesses, which is why there was no surprise when he began to pursue a passion for understanding psych and psychology.
Out of these findings grew a new science, psychoanalysis, a part of psychology, as a new method of treatment of the neurosis.
After unrelenting research, Freud formulated one of his most groundbreaking psychoanalysis theories involving the unconscious mind. He proposed that emotions and behaviors could be influenced by suppressed memories, desires, and experiences, believing that many psychological illnesses were caused by such. He then published The Interpretation of Dreams, which proposed theories on how dreams related to the unconscious mind, followed by various other books such as an autobiographical study and many others. By the early 1900s, Freud had already established himself as a leading figure in frontier in psychology, developing theories such as the controversial Oedipal complex, the extremely well-known tripartite theory of personality, the theory of countertransference, and more. Many people in Europe viewed Sigmund Freud's different theories as pervasive, odd, and even disturbing when he proposed them. This was largely due to their unwillingness to believe in his work, convinced that it was a mere product of his imagination.
People did not believe in my facts and thought my theories unsavory.
However, when psychoanalysis was first introduced to the United States in 1909, responses were surprisingly enthusiastic. In his book, An Autobiographical Study, Freud recalled, "My short visit to the New World encouraged my self-respect in every way. In Europe, I felt as though I was despised, but in America, I found myself perceived by the foremost of men as an equal." It seemed like the realization of some incredible daydream. Psychoanalysis was no longer a product of illusion, it had become a valuable part of reality. It has not lost ground in America since our visit. Reactions were so positive that Freud's ideas took root and gained formidable traction within just a year. In 1910, the International Psychoanalytic Association, also known as the IPA, was formed. The same year, Washington, D.C.'s Pathopathological Association was formed, with New York's Psychoanalytic Society following subsequently in 1911, then the highly credited American Psychoanalytic Association 3 years later. Through his new and developed ideas, Freud was able to influence rights and responsibilities within the psychological field. His studies of the unconscious and conscious mind helped establish the idea that mental illnesses were to be treated properly and scientifically, rather than violently and ideologically, influencing the movement of mental health rights and patient rights. His ideas on psychoanalysis not only added to the global knowledge of psychology, but led to the integration of the psychopathological phenomena. Freud helped to shift harmful societal perceptions and stigmas around mental illnesses to a legitimate and serious medical condition, allowing society to open up the doors for the rights and recognition of patients and mental health issues. Additionally, by introducing talk therapy to the psychological world, Freud discovered that a patient's emotions could improve after talking to a therapist. This emphasized treatment over punishment, revolutionizing ethical standards regarding therapy and laying out the groundwork for laws protecting the rights of those affected by mental illnesses. Freud also often argued that the human behavior was driven by unconscious desires pertaining to internal conflicts, childhood experiences, and societal norms, raising philosophical questions on personal and societal responsibilities. His theory, the tripartite theory of personality, proposed that the mind was divided into 3 sections: the id, the ego, and the superego. They control conscious primitive desires, the preconscious rationality, and the unconscious conscience, respectively. While individuals may be influenced by the id part of their mind, the ego and the superego sections help to regulate behavior and in turn carry societal and personal responsibility. The superego is part of the psyche, regulating internalized social norms, values, standards, and morals, shaping how people behave and understand their behaviors in relation to others. By instilling rules and values into individuals, society imposes moral constraints that translate into a deep, internalized societal responsibility within the superego that balances personal desires and responsibilities.
Freud connects this conception of the self with the conception of society. The connection between self and society, extrapolation from one to the other, is at least as old as Plato. All right, so you can't ignore the fact that there's a social philosophy connected with this, that is in many respects not just an epiphenomenon, but an important element of it.
Freud's ideas sparked the question, how much personal responsibility should individuals bear for their behavior if unconscious forces shape their actions? This question is exactly why insanity defense and rehabilitation-focused justice systems exist now. Sigmund Freud's profound impact on rights and responsibilities are non-negligible. Legislation regarding mental health rights has significantly changed for the better following Sigmund Freud's groundbreaking discoveries. In 1960, the deinstitutionalization of the mentally ill began, and by 1963, President John F. Kennedy signed the Community Mental Health Centers Act of 1863 into action, which would facilitate the shift from asylums into centers for mental health in the United States. Freud's emphasis on ethical and effective therapy helped develop the right to privacy, respectful treatment, and informed consent, which proved essential in shaping laws like the Patient's Bill of Rights. Additionally, his impact on personal and societal responsibilities is not to be forgotten. Through his studies on the unconscious mind and societal norms, individuals have become more self-aware and simultaneously take responsibility for their actions. Modern society has now become hyper-aware of societal morals and responsibilities, which not only affect our behavior now, but also impacts topics such as criminal behavior, insanity defense, and rehabilitation centers.
Today, historians rank Freud's scientific contributions with those of Planck and Einstein because of the unmistakable impact of his thought on our century, on the 20th century specifically. Scholars now refer to our era as the century of Freud.
Sadly, Sigmund Freud passed away on the 23rd of September, 1939 after a long battle with cancer. Each of us would think, judge, feel more narrowly, less freely, less justly without his thinking ahead of us, without this powerful inward stimulus he has given us. Although many of his theories have been revised or contested now, Sigmund Freud's contributions to the modern-day world cannot be overlooked, reshaping not only the field of psychology and psychoanalysis, but mental health rights and human responsibilities. His enduring legacy remains unwavering even after death, ushering in healthcare-related advances, protecting mental health rights, highlighting societal responsibilities, and affecting our unconscious responsibilities to this very day. As the father of psychoanalysis, he remains a pivotal figure in our psychological rights and responsibilities, standing as a symbol of human brilliance in the face of doubt.